Hi, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us for another weekly research conference here at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute and also the region. This was originally the March break session, but however, as you know, March break has been rescheduled. So we thought that this was a great opportunity for us to get a chance to be brought up to date on some of the real innovation opportunities here in the Ottawa region, and particularly with the University of Ottawa. So we're most grateful for Mr. Ken Lawless on a very short time of notice to be able to join us today. But before we introduce our esteemed speaker, I'd like to just review in terms of some of the logistics of the online session today. So make sure that if you have your questions, that you can submit them using the Q&A feature on the bottom of your screen. And this can be done anytime during the lecture itself. And certainly at the end of the presentation, we'll be able to have a chance to review these questions with Ken, and he will be able to address them in turn. And but on the other hand, we can also accept live questions at the end of the presentation. You can use the hand up feature, and then you'll be asked to be unmuted by the moderator, and you can ask the question in person. But on the other hand, if you have any technical issues, please use the chat function on the bottom of your screen, and so that Kelsey or Alice could help you to make sure that you can join the session successfully. So we're delighted today that Mr. Ken Lawless is able to speak with us on some of the exciting initiatives at the University of Ottawa, particularly related on the innovation sector. Mr. Lawless is currently the Executive Director of the Ottawa Health Innovation Hub. Now, I know we use the hub concept in some of our research collaborations, but this hub is actually both a physical as well as a virtual hub that actually brings a number of the commercialization efforts for the scientists and folks in the research domain to actually bring the exciting research to the ability to develop products and tools and through formation of companies, for example. And Mr. Lawless has a long experience in promoting investment in and commercialization of life science companies and the technologies in Canada and globally throughout his extensive career. He did actually have roots here in Ottawa. He had his BSc in biochemistry and then subsequent MSc in biochemistry and molecular biology at the University of Ottawa. He then dedicated his talents to the private sector in biotech development and also the accrual of capital to support and nurture the growing sector. He has served as the president and CEO of Epitope Capital Corporation, a privately held consulting company since 2007. He's the former CEO of Biodiesel Research Technology, Inc., and was the founding president and CEO of Ottawa Life Sciences Council from its inception in 1994. During his career, he has served on numerous private and nonprofit boards and also on expert panels, task forces, and selection panels. He's currently a board member of the Ontario Institute of Cancer Research and its venture capital arm, Facet. We have had an excellent collaboration with Ken in the development of Ottawa Health Innovation Hub and setting up a multi-sited venture, including the potential siting, for example, of a startup, Verica, here at the Heart Institute to facilitate further collaboration. So we're really delighted today to have Ken to give us an update on the Ottawa Health Innovation Hub. Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm just going to go and grab my presentation.
Sure.
See if I can get it up and running.
Looking good. Yeah, if you can go into.
We'll be there in a second. Yeah, I just have to switch my.
Perfect.
Can you see the whole?
Yes.
There. Can you see it now? Perfect.
Perfect. That's perfect.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Peter. figured that I would start by giving you a little bit of an agenda on the talk. I want to talk about our ecosystem, the local ecosystem in Ottawa. We'll talk about the hub, its mission and objectives. We'll talk about this innovation nexus that we're developing here. A little bit about the hub and the Heart Institute and what we're doing together. We'll also talk about the Advanced Medical Research building or center that is being built out on Ottawa's campus, hub services activities, spin-offs, and then I'll talk a bit about a systems approach to innovation and commercialization, and then some questions and answers. So everybody knows Ottawa is a technology hub. So 1.4 million in population in the National Capital Region, about 750,000 people, one of the highest concentrations of tech talent in North America, about 68,000 people and 1,750 knowledge-based business. But did you know that Ottawa is also a health tech hub? So we have globally competitive R&D strengths in cancer, regenerative medicine, immunotherapeutics, cardiovascular disease, rare disease, cell and gene therapies, digital health, medtech, precision medicines. And we're G7 capital. And as a result, we're one of the most diverse health tech hubs in the country. So we have over 135 companies who employ about 6,000 people, 15 multinationals in the city, 6,500 researchers and clinicians across the city doing $380 million of research. And that adds up to about a $2 billion economic impact. Oh, and by the way, we're also the 4th largest clinical research center in the country. The city is really known and being recognized for its leadership, both on the local, national, and international level. Of course, world-renowned University of Ottawa Heart Institute, along with a number of other institutes, including the Brain and Mind Institute and the Institute for Systems Biology, which I'll talk about briefly, as well as Care for Rare Diseases, the Biotherapeutics Manufacturing Center. And of course, we have a joint School of Medicine with Shanghai, and other collaborations of medical devices with Israel, and of course with France. One of the key things that differentiates us is our proximity and our interaction with the national labs. I did the numbers, and there's about 22,000 people employed in this city directly in life science related departments and research institutes. It's a big number. And so this proximity really gives us an opportunity to interact and interface. And it is indeed one of those jewels that we have for moving forward with innovation. Before I jump on this, I wanted to take a little bit of time just to say congrats to Peter and Ruth Slack on their recent CFI and Genome Canada Awards, really bringing the brain and heart together. I think this is a really outstanding opportunity and project for Ottawa, and it just shows the amount of collaboration that's going on both internally and also externally. So kudos to you, Peter, and to Ruth. So we wanted to start to talk about some of our ecosystem challenges. There really is no dedicated incubation or acceleration space with access to common shared research clinical infrastructure in the city. It's very, very difficult after you spin off a company where to put it, because we don't have space to put it. It's also a lack of space for collaborative research initiatives, no and limited capacity to expand discovery and translational research facilities. So if you're on the Smythe Road, Alta Vista campus, you'll know that researchers are being shoehorned in there as well. And then we also have limited access to venture capital and investment. So combined, these challenges make it much more difficult to start, retain, and scale companies, as well as attract talent, global partners, and investment. And that's not just to the companies, but that's also to the institutes when you want to be able to attract the very, very best. And they come and ask you, oh, I have a spin-off company that I'd like to start. And you say, well, I don't have any capacity to support you. So the partners got together and signed an MOU in July of 2019 for the development and the establishment of the Ottawa Health Innovation Hub. So what's the vision? Ottawa's vision is as a global innovation hub for smart health and precision medicine. The mission is to nurture a robust and innovative local health sciences, health ecosystem that supports commercialization of discoveries and helps entrepreneurs to start and grow the next generations of companies. So what are the objectives? To support the creation and growth of new companies, to address critical gaps in the innovation ecosystem, facilitate collaboration and partnerships to support technology development and economic growth, and to facilitate development of common and shared infrastructures, including offices, wet lab, core facilities, incubation accelerator, and industry institutional collaborative research spaces. So this really sets up for you what the hub is all about and where its focus is. We're really looking at Ottawa's nexus in this smart health and precision medicine space. So smart health, we're talking about digital health and med tech. And really we're drawing on our strengths from our traditional roots in the IT community, but we really are in imaging, medical technologies, biomedical engineering, biophysics, app development, all sorts of activities going on. We also have a very complementary strength in precision medicine. Everything in oncology, neurosciences, cardiology, diabetes, and of course, all the omics, genomics, proteomics. Of course, CHEO is very active in the rare diseases. We're very active in biotherapeutics, which we'll talk about. And of course, biomarkers with the Center for Biomarkers with Roche that the Heart Institute currently has. But of course, bioreactors and such. And then there's this opportunity in the middle for synthetic biology, therapeutic targeting, big data, disease management, all of those other things. So that's one view of it, but I really like this particular diagram because it really shows how this nexus interconnects with smart health, precision medicine, and big data. Where are the big flows of data? And so if you look at the precision medicine side, you've got the microbiome, you've got proteomics, you've got metabolomics, and all of these generate huge amounts of data that then need to be turned and used and validated using a variety of new tools in AI, machine learning, and all of these as well then connect up with digital health because we need the tools in which to be able to then build those devices or validate particular assumptions. So this wheel basically gives us a really good view of what this innovation nexus is all about. I've been really happy to see in the last 10 years the growth of Ottawa's biotherapeutics discovery engine. This diagram, which I put together, really talks about all the interconnected pieces that come together focusing on everything from bioinformatics, biomarkers, PET imaging, gene and cell therapies, immunotherapeutics, infectious diseases, viral vector cell gene. And all of this is supported, of course, by clinical trials, the bioinformatics and clinical databases, electronic medical records, AI, and of course, all the core life science research activities that go on in the city. And what's happened over the last 10 years is that this particular engine is now starting to fire on all pistons. And so we're really starting to see a lot of activity. We're also seeing a lot of activity in biotherapeutics manufacturing. OHRI has had a 15-year track record of success in this space. They operate 8 GMP facilities, dedicated spaces, quality control, process development, expert services in evaluating, developing, and manufacturing viruses, cells, antibodies, etc. Support development of manufacturing for products inclusive of academic institutions as well. So really being able to allow academic institutions and academic groups to be able to manufacture their materials for preclinical and clinical trials, as well as startup companies and companies across. They've been in the news lately, as you may have heard. They've manufactured more than a dozen experimental virus and cell-based therapies. that have gone to human trials in Canada, the US, and Asia. They're one of the most experienced and successful facilities. They're the only GMP viral facility to produce materials for clinical trials. They partnered with 3 Canadian companies to manufacture experimental COVID-19 vaccines. And they've been supporting in-house the development of their own COVID-19 vaccine. And they've just started a clinical trial on a new cell-based therapy. So this is part of the pivot that Ottawa is really been good at in terms of dealing with COVID-19 and such. But the problem is they currently have a 12 to 18 month waiting list. And so we've been working with them on a biomanufacturing consultation that ISED has done in order that we can look to see how we can expand this facility. Again, looking for the gaps in the infrastructure. How do we bring our collective energies together in order to support these types of things? So when I look at the hub, this is what I see. I see a ring of different institutions, different locations across the community. In effect, it's a hub and node network. You can see the Heart Institute is in there. You can see we've got University of Ottawa's Canada North, etc. And what the hub is all about is accelerating companies, providing incubation and wet lab services, helping with technology development, supporting the development of collaborative research, bringing in investment capital, trying to get shared facilities. We don't want to duplicate facilities. What we want to do is share facilities. And instead of going for a CFI for $2 million, we may be able to go CFI for $5 million if we come together and create a national platform as opposed to a regional platform. We're all interested in company scale up, both not only the startups, but the existing 130 companies that are here. We want to attract multinationals to the city and come and do collaborative research, come and manufacture, come and collaborate. And of course, it's all about entrepreneurship and training. So this gives you an idea a little bit more about what the hub is all about. So what's our opportunity? It's really national leadership in smart health and precision medicine. We want to improve patient care and healthcare delivery. We want to have enable this rapid commercialization of made in Canada health innovations. We want to nurture this a robust ecosystem, focusing on commercialization of the discoveries and moving them into high growth firms, create jobs and sustain healthcare, have a long-term economic impact. And we also want to strengthen the ecosystem to future-proof Canada's capacity to respond to an urgent healthcare crisis like the pandemic, and so that we can then scale for greater productivity and responsiveness. So these are all part of the plans and the thinking as we move forward is how can we take our existing infrastructure, our existing knowledge, and how can we create that and use that and build capacity so that we can respond. And of course, most importantly, it's about developing that next generation of researchers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. The little diamond you see off to the left is just an just a reminder of this sort of quadruple helix that we have in the city of academia, healthcare, government, and industry, and our opportunity to all work together, focusing on innovation. And this is something that's unique in Canada for us. So, we have the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. So this really is the first node in the network. And as such, we're currently working with the Heart Institute to facilitate Verrica Biotech's leasing of space. So coming in and bringing the first company into the Heart Institute in order that you can not only support the company's growth, but also the interaction with the company. And Verrica is really all about viral vectors and how to support gene therapy and cell therapy and increase and move production, the ability to produce those types of products. But they also have a lot of other technologies that they have. So there'll be wonderful opportunities for the Heart Institute researchers to work and collaborate with Verrica. We're also supporting the development of some new spin-offs. And this we're doing in consultation and with the support of Innovation Support Services at the University of Ottawa and the Heart Institute to try to help develop that technology, to position it proper, and to then build potentially a startup out of that and get it financed and right management around it and move it forward. And we anticipate many other projects that are in the works, and Peter's been talking a little bit to me about that as well. So we talked a bit about what we're trying to do with the hub, but now I want to focus on what we're trying to do from an infrastructure point of view. And here's, we'll talk a little bit about what the university is doing. The university has 3 development priorities. One is to move the Faculty of Health Sciences to Lees Avenue campus. So that's the nursing, kin, and others. And so that construction is scheduled to begin shortly. There's also the redevelopment of the current faculty medicine building, Roger Gandol Hall, because basically you can't plug in a toaster without burning out the system. So there needs to be some major upgrades to that. And then development of a new advanced medical research center right adjacent to it. So this is where we want to build wet lab capacity, research capacity moving forward. We've already done programming. We've already focused on, done an architectural feasibility study and financial and business planning. And so we're moving forward with this building. The university is moving forward with this building now. So this will be where home base, if you want, the hub, the Health Innovation Hub, and it'll anchor this particular, this advanced medical research center. It's a world-class building with the hub serving the whole entire ecosystem. It's going to strengthen our capacity, security, self-sufficiency, competitiveness. It's about 350,000 square feet, so it's quite a large building. It's shovel-ready with construction expected to start in late 2022 and occupancy planned for late 2024. So what's going to be in there? Well, the Ottawa Health Innovation Hub will occupy a floor there. And this is where we're going to have our incubation space and services. This is where we're going to have a smart health accelerator, including a women's entrepreneurship program, conference training, meeting facilities. There'll be some collaborative space that we'll lease out to private sector who have matured out of the incubator and the accelerator. And we're also working on the development of a venture capital hub and a new innovation accelerator fund, really to focus on really early stages of commercialization, that gap, call it a gap fund. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. The other discovery and translational floors include the University's Ottawa's Faculty of Medicine. We're having conversations as well with CHIO and the federal government. And we'll be looking at moving a number of the core research facilities. I think we're currently at 17 within the Faculty of Medicine. A number of them will move into the hub as well. We're also working on development of a number of national innovation platforms, including a collaborative center in AI and systems biology with the National Research Council. I'll talk briefly about that a little bit later. We also have the Collaboration Center in Infection, Immunity, and Inflammation, which we're currently working on. One of our colleagues, Daniel Figuez, within the faculty is working on a Center for Translational Microbiome in Health and Disease. And that would include the University of Ottawa, CHIO, Royal Briere, and Saint-Justin. And we're also supporting, again, this expansion of the Biotherapeutics Manufacturing Center. So there's a lot going on. There'll be a lot going on this campus. There'll be a lot going on in the nodes that you see. So let's talk about innovation and technology development. And this is really the incubator, the wet lab space. So what we'll be offering is modular and scalable lab office space, state-of-the-art equipment on a shared basis, access to scientific, industry, and capital funding experts, business services to help grow and scale company, IT dedicated services, compliance coaching. The regulatory side is really important here. And so we'll be looking at compliance coaching for these companies moving forward, safe environment. We'll be able to, they'll be able to access 15 of the core facilities, Biotherapeutics Manufacturing Center, all on that site, potential for a genome foundry, and of course, clinical trials. So we'll be able to do about a dozen lab office suites, but we'll probably be able to do more, about 15 as it's currently configured. The accelerator is all about smart health. And here we're going to focus on digital health, AI, and precision medicine. And so we'll have planned partnerships with a number of private sector groups, and we're working with them currently right now. We'll also focus on medical technology. So think of this as medical devices and such. And so we're trying to to be able to provide these companies as they get spun out all of the things that they're going to need in order to be able to grow that company and position it. We'll also run a women's accelerator program. Last fall, November, we ran a workshop, a lab to fulfillment workshop, where we had a number of women PIs come into that workshop to understand how they might take their technology into a commercial setting and how to overcome barriers. And it was put on by women, for women, creating a natural space, a comfort space for those who are participating. For the Accelerator, it's a 12 to 18 month program, dedicated life science mentors, weekly op meetings, program staff, advisors, mentors. They'll have access to product development, validation, and clinical trial network expertise. So basically, we'll be coming back to the institutes and looking for validation of those technologies going forward, and that'll be on a contract basis. There'll be business development support services, and we're talking to Telfer about bringing in top EMBA and MBA students to support these companies. And we'll also be really focusing on medical and life science investors. And they'll have also some shared office space. And we'll be able to host up to 15 clients per year, plus run a pre-accelerated program. Finally, in these slides, we're going to be doing a lot of programming and training and outreach, very much like you're doing with this particular series. We'll be doing education, training, networking, really focusing on how you do innovation, how you do commercialization, how you get a company started and grow it. We'll host probably about 4 to 6 workshops, sponsor at least 5 conferences to showcase Ottawa. But we're planning about a third of the Hub's programming actually delivered outside the Hub facilities in the Alliance institutions. And that includes Carleton, Heart Institute, Royal Ottawa, Briere, and others. We'll have about 3,000 square feet of meeting collaboration space. So this is collision space. You know, post-COVID, we all work virtually, but one of the most important things though for this, this is really a contact sport. And so we want to provide both the virtual and the physical opportunity to bring those groups together. We'll also be involved in business development marketing. There's no sense in trying to have this gem without it actually looking outward to the world, looking for partners. So we'll engage local companies to support sector growth. We'll facilitate collaboration partnerships amongst alliance partners and private sector. And we're going to raise awareness of our ecosystem outside and brand Ottawa. And we'll go to conferences across North America, into Europe, where we're going to bring companies, we're going to bring institutes, and we want to then have them be able to collaborate and find new collaborations going forward, plus also market what our capabilities are here. A little bit about commercialization. Some of the numbers, we currently spin off up to probably about 10 companies a year within the institutional domain. And we expect that number to double over the next 5 years. Here are some of the notable companies that we have. The university really provides startup and commercialization support through innovation support services team. And this is the team, your go-to team really early when you're looking at the technology you have, you're looking to patent, you're looking to see where to patent, what the applications are. This is really the team you need to go to work with. And that team is under the leadership of Nicola Urbani, along with Mike Walker and Sharif Adera, who's just joined. If you look at the number of patents we have, we've in that first 5 years, we've had 140 patent applications. What's really interesting is almost 60% are licensed already. So they're licensed to the startups. We don't just patent things for the sake of patenting. We're really about patenting things so that they have commercial potential. And of the 60 patents that have issued in that time, 85% of them have been licensed. From these spin-offs, there's some recent headlines just to give you some sense. You know, Spider Award earned some breakthrough status with a U.S. health regulator for its spinal cord regeneration. In January, Turnstone just did an acquisition. By the way, Turnstone has been able to attract over $340 million of venture capital just in the past 5 years, and is really moving forward with their oncolytic viral platforms. We also saw DNA Genotech, an alumnus, if you want, also move forward with their saliva collection kits for COVID-19. And a lot of validation work was done by the Ottawa Hospital, University of Ottawa. Spartan's COVID-19 test received authorization from Health Canada, and as I understand, the University of Ottawa Heart Institute was the sponsor for that particular trial. Panthera just got $4 million of funding boost as well. And VBI Vaccines announced that acceptance of their biological license applications for its prophylactic hepatitis B vaccine. And just this past week, they started phase 1 clinical trials on their COVID-19. So there's a lot of activity going on. In February, we were able to bring a number of these companies to the Ontario Bio conference, and we had 6 of them present to investors. And so this is, again, part of our outreach going forward. On the collaborative research side, we're looking at facilitating research collaborations on, and this is a really, really important focus. So we were able to bring together the Ottawa Institute for Systems Biology and 2 of the research centers, the Digital Technology Center, which really is in a computational bioinformatics and AI, and the Human Health Therapies Center, which really focuses on gene and cell therapy, vaccines, and all of those other areas. We were able to bring them together under a master collaborative agreement that really outlines access to facilities, grad students, how we deal with intellectual property, commercialization, visiting science. We have all that up front. And the reason for doing that is we don't have to rewrite the agreement every time there's a collaboration. We just basically append to that master collaboration agreement each of the projects. This greatly speeds up the whole process of trying to get collaborations done, as well as it makes it much, much easier to manage those collaborations and then to move forward. So these are the areas that the collaboration agreement falls under. So there's research pillars in epigenomics, metabolomics, AI for design and synthetic biology, cell and gene therapy, proteomics, therapeutic innovation, drug discovery, and personalized medicine and aging. And these are a lot of the types of activities that they'll be doing, which is the training of qualified personnel, development of intellectual property, platforms, applied research, and expanding collaboration. About 2 weeks ago, we held the inaugural symposium for this. We had 150 scientists from NRC and from University of Ottawa participate. And there are a number of workshops going on. And there's opportunities as well for accessing collaborative research grants from the NRC through this process. I want to switch my attention in the latter part of this to now talking about creating a innovation and commercialization system and looking really how it fits together. So this particular graphic really talks about research, technology to a startup. So starting at basic research, moving through translational proof of concept, startup. And these are the positionings of where you see the public funds and the foundations and the private sector funds playing. But there's a gap. That's the innovation and capital support gap. And really, it's an uphill climb for innovation and commercialization. There's a gap. There's no early stage capital. And left without a solution, many of these promising technologies really struggle. They just can't get through this. So we're looking at the creation of an innovation accelerator fund. So this is, again, a gap fund. We're modeling it after the Princess Margaret Fund, which is very successful in Toronto. And what we're doing is we're turning everything on its side. And we have all these sources of technology. And what we want to try to do is to pull these technologies into the funnel. So we need to change the culture, identify projects, develop and de-risk these projects and turn them into commercializable assets and increase deal flow. But we know that a fund at the front end of this funnel really isn't enough. So we need to build a system. So part of that system is about expanding the translational and research and innovation platforms that we all have. So in this case, the systems biology one that we talked about, the collaboration center, the biomanufacturing, and really extend them from beyond basic research into translational and proof of concept. So a lot of effort is really looking at how do we find partners to do that and move it forward. The next piece is about clinical development and product validation. What we want to try to do is to make sure that we look at clinical development pathways very early, even before you have your technology is matured or you have proof of concept. Really understanding what would be the pathway to commercialize such a technology and what is the pathway for regulatory success. And so this is what we're looking at. And there's a clinical development group based out of OHI and Faculty of Medicine called Blueprint Accelerator. And they're really focused at bringing that expertise to researchers very early in their program. We'll also be looking at the digital health and product validation testing, and of course, accessing clinical trials, as we've talked about. And then finally, this is where the hub comes in. And so what we're really doing here is we're looking at, once we identify a commercial opportunity, we want to get a foundry around it. We want to work with all the partners and identify how to do this and build it forward. And so then we run into all of the programs that the Innovation Hub will do. Just about done here. So just to give you an idea of what this really means for the economy, construction of this particular will house about 270 researchers, 360 trainees, create about 2,700 construction jobs, contribute about $327 million to GDP. So this is the part of fueling the economy. We expect the fund will seed about 25 new companies. And the hub will be able to incubate about 28 incubator companies and 50 accelerator companies through 2030. And they should be able to attract about 285 million. All told, about 9,700 jobs through that period, and GDP of about $1.2 billion. Most of that generated by the companies and their growth. So really, it's about building capacity and competitiveness, our ability to ensure that we have speed to innovation and speed to commercialization. And I'll stop there.
Thanks so much, Ken. This is fantastic because I think it really brings the whole the steps all the way from research lab innovation to truly developing something that's tangible that actually can develop a product to actually serve the greater need. And creating an ecosystem. The problem was always before that the things are so fragmented, and folks have great ideas but to falter along the way. And I think this is really very, very, very exciting. And so before I open up the questions, I wonder, are these slides could be shared in some components?
Yeah, some of the components we'll share. There'll be a new website coming up shortly for the hub. And we'll be able to share some of them there as well. But if people do want to be able to access these, then they can just contact me, and we can do that. And that
because I think there are actually great elements, not only when we're giving talks and things like that, can bring the attention, but also in terms of when we're putting grants together, because a lot of these elements, these facts are really, really helpful. Yeah. So. So I think there are a number of questions, and so maybe could start with Dr. Hassan Mir, who's actually a rising star, who's recruited to the Heart Institute, and this is a fantastic presentation. As somewhat heavily involved in the innovation, excuse me, Hassan does digital health, telehealth, so really got ideas on the run. And how can we get involved with the hub or work with the team of developing, some of these tools and products, as you mentioned. And he's definitely somebody that you want to.
Absolutely. So part of this is really about working collaboratively together. So At this stage, the easiest way is just to get in contact with me, and I'll be able to talk with you about what you're viewing as your opportunity, and see how that we can bring that. Obviously, it's important to talk to Peter. It's important to talk to TD, to talk to your internal group as well, in terms of how you want to be able to do that. If there's technology that's developed and you're developing technology, clearly the next steps then are bringing in innovation support services as we make sure that the technology itself is protected properly, that there are commercial avenues going forward. And then at that stage, it's a continuing conversation, and we will work with you. It really depends on whether this is a commercial opportunity or whether you're looking very much at a broader initiative in terms of providing a series of services or support mechanisms to support companies like that. I think both are extremely valid, and love to work with you on those.
Yeah, Ken, I think your presentation has also underscored the fact that previously folks, sometimes miss Ottawa, right? Because, most of the time, people hear Ottawa obviously is a political center, for Canada, and, hear of the high tech, and when the Sens are not doing very well, people look to Montreal or Toronto, to see what the life sciences are, and miss the Ottawa along the way. But this is so very exciting.
It's an important. This is an important piece, because with respect to doing advocacy into the federal and provincial governments and even the city government, we often get back, where have you been? We've missed you. We know more about what's going on in Calgary than we do about what's going on in Ottawa. So part of the effort that we have is to speak with one voice. When we have really important initiatives, we speak with one voice and we support them. And that's essentially how I think we'll move forward on those.
Yeah, so absolutely. And that's why I think, getting the word out there is so important. Just the fact that you have put all this together, is very, very exciting, I think, for everybody, sort of for looking at this. So I guess a question certainly I have as well is that for our investigators, who are actually interested in the opportunities that you have presented, really actually a great list of menu. So for example, does the Heart Institute require a research agreement, with all these infrastructure in order to do this, or is that already included, in the ongoing collaboration? And do we need to, sort of be a part of membership, or in fact the investigators, could already, for example, talk with us, and there was ISS, and there was you.
Yeah. So there's no barriers here. So the Heart Institute is a partner. We have we're bringing forward an advisor council in which the Heart Institute will have representation. So this will be part of bringing that collective together. The ISS, you already have access to ISS through your existing services that the university provides, so there's no issues with that, and there's no issues with the hub providing those services either. So really, it's about identifying those opportunities internally together, and then looking for the best way to support this and provide a supported path moving forward. And so there's no barriers to this. Where we do see need for agreements will be on collaborative research agreements and those types of things. And now we have some very, very specific templates, so that that particular template for AI and systems biology is now the template that we'll use for future types of institutional to institutional type of things. So for instance, if the Heart Institute is looking for a collaboration externally with another group, the Vector Institute or others, we can use that template as a very quick means in which to distill down what would be in an agreement, and then to look at how those collaborative projects then would grow moving further on. So we're really removing red tape and barriers and stuff like that, so that we can move these things forward. And that's what it comes back to: speed to innovation and speed to commercialization. If we're going to win the race, we got to do both. We got to do them really, really well.
Yeah, so points so well taken. Another kind of a question that comes up is, scientists are great in doing science and, in terms of discovery. But running a business is really kind of a whole different skill sets and
absolutely
intuitive often. And so, quite often it's really actually kind of a pairing, the kind of the scientific mind, but actually with folks who really knows the business, and with the entrepreneurial spirit and, so different skill sets altogether, rather than trying to, sort of have this, sort of a magic super person, is truly creating that team. And so are you generally kind of seeing models like this? And do we have those type of business entrepreneurial types, who can actually, let's say, pair up with, some of our great, innovators at the Harding Institute, so that you can have a successful venture?
Yes, absolutely. They do exist in Ottawa. There are people like that. There are people outside as well. I think one of the things of this, so if I can, around the formation of a company, first thing to do is really focus on intellectual property, making sure when you protected it for not only for the geographies, but for the applications that you really want to commercialize. So this is where ISS comes in, and it's really, really important. The second piece then is looking at your pathway to move that technology to proof of concept and beyond. And in that context, you want to be able to have some advice, regulatory, you'll want to have some other advice. So in this foundry stage, we'll work together with ISS and we'll identify paths forward, but we'll also identify the people that you need to help do that, whether that's a mentor, whether that's a CFO that would come on, whether you'll need a new CEO. And so a lot of times these are available on contract service basis. So we can find people who have been there, done that, know how to do it, and know how to do it well and quickly and have a track record, and we can bring them on. And at that point, we're also then talking to the venture capital and investors, so that what we can do then is actually match make.
Yes.
And do it early, because the types of investors, for instance, for biologics and others, are different than the types for medtech and for digital health. And so we want to tailor make and really focus on the investors who will be best suited for this type of product and service. And then at that point, it's all about then bringing those groups together and working through all of the various issues that you would in terms of getting a startup going. The actual making a startup I can do overnight. Building a startup takes months. Right. And so you need commitment, years, and you need commitment of the investigators to be able to do that. And so it has to be an understanding that they would have to be engaged and involved. The technology has to mature. They also need to transfer technology eventually to the company. And then what will their role be in that company? Is it a CTO role, a chief technology officer, chief medical officer? Is it, do they want to be an entrepreneur and be a CEO? That might be good for the first part, but they also have to understanding that as the company grows, you know what, there's a shift, and you will need business people that will be able to bring you to market. And so it's really about assembling an airplane as you're falling from 40,000 feet and trying to land it comfortably at an airport. And that's what it's about.
Right. And that's I think, where a lot of the team members and the experience comes in, right? Because
correct, absolutely,
they fall apart before it lands. Yeah, and so we actually have Dr. Masana joining us on the panel. Fantastic. And of course, Terry is a big fan of this entire collaboration. And so Terry, go ahead in terms of your question.
Well, thank you so much. First, I have 3 points. Number one, thank you very much, Ken. It was a great presentation. I like your slides. They're very, very inspiring. Number two, we have a specific University of Ottawa and University of Ottawa Health Institute agreement that covers in general terms the fact that we collaborate for expanding human resources, infrastructure, helping to other university members other than the Health Institute to collaborate with us. So this is covered. We have an agreement. We don't have a specific agreement for this particular innovation hub, but I think it's a natural prolongation, I would say. And number three, for the people here, this webinar today, I want to really, again, thank the University of Ottawa for the tremendous support that is given to our researchers. And I can tell you there is a big change, a big shift in the last two years, in particular, when you, Ken, came on board and other guys came on board. We had great support for researchers. And researchers should know that. I mean, you're not left alone. I mean, you just have to contact research services, contact Peter, myself. You have a great idea you want to promote. And I think with the support of university, which is actually having set up a kind of a business structure, if you can probably elaborate a bit more, Ken, is going to help a lot the research. So there is a reason why we are named University of Ottawa Health Institute and not just Ottawa Health Institute. That would be, sorry, it wasn't a question, but actually it was more common. But if you want maybe to explain how people can be a supporter in terms of business like you did, it was great. That was my
Thanks, Steve.
comments, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's a really important point, because people need to realize that, no one will be able to succeed alone, right? In this.
That's correct.
This is truly, sort of multi specialties, sort of competitive sport in a way. And so, getting the best members working with you is the ultimate winning formula.
Yeah,
and actually, if I may say, there is very recently, as you know, Ken, one of our researchers was exactly in that situation.
Correct.
He approached me and he said, well, I have this thing, I'd like to have a startup. And I said, well, let me bring you together with Peter in university and Ken, and gradually we are making progress in this project. So I think he understands probably much better what are the things at stake.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the other thing that I want to talk to is this should be fun. Folks, this should be fun. This is exciting. An opportunity to take your discovery and make impacts, both not only impacts in terms of knowledge creation, knowledge generation, but actually getting your technology discovery implemented, getting into the commercial realm, getting it to help as many patients as possible. Some of that can be done through knowledge translation. Some of that can't be done through knowledge translation. It needs to be done through commercialization.
Yeah, so I think it's also a moment, a kind of a watershed moment for research as well. And so, previously when we look at the research and, certainly through CIHR funding and things like that, our obligation was, publish the paper and, good journal, life is good, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, CIHR keeps on asking, has actually impact on, clinical practice? Has this actually, impact on the patients? Has an impact on community? Has an impact, sort of on a global scale? My God, it's really asking tough questions, right? Yeah, so, so just publishing the paper is no longer kind of the end of the research. It's actually the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And think about it, even in right now, much of your work that you may be doing in your lab is collaborating not only with your colleagues at the Heart Institute, but beyond the University of Ottawa and Filius, but also in London, in Montreal, Vancouver, Quebec City, Boston, wherever. And so part of this as well is that creates the opportunity as well to build even stronger collaborations. And through a commercial entity. And then the commercial, and what we're trying to do is create an ecosystem where the best place for that entity to flourish is here. So we can develop deep roots, and with the deep roots, we can keep them here. And they don't run away. And so that's how we build the ecosystem, and that's how all of this is interconnected.
Yeah. And this is, of course, a synergistic and kind of a multiplicative process, right? You know, once you actually build a critical mass, you really actually generate. That's how Boston, you know, sort of the whole Cambridge area, you know, came to be.
Well, we have a really, really interesting story here. One is ISTAT. So ISTAT was started in the 80s by a guy by the name of Imants Laux. And Imants came to Ottawa. Why? Because he was working on lab on a chip. Why? There was a foundry here to make silicon chips. So he came here. So he brought his technology and this brand new technology into brand new field at point of care testing. And so he got a partner called Abbott. Well, Abbott liked it so much, they bought the company. Well, Imants decided, I have another idea. So he started another company called EpoCal. So then he grew EpoCal, and then it was eventually bought by Alere. And then Alere was bought by Abbott. And because the two EpoCal and the original ISTAT technologies basically owned the point of care testing market, like 80%, the federal government asked them to split it. So now in Ottawa, we have 850 people employed at Abbott Point of Care. And now they sold that business, the EpoCal business, to Siemens Healthineers. And we have almost 400 people at Siemens Healthineers. Wow. And now what I can tell you is that Imants Laux is starting another company. Oh, no. So we have serial entrepreneurs here.
Right.
We have companies that have built technologies and stayed here. This is what we want to do. So it's a wonderful, wonderful lesson for us. And there are people here to help you do it.
Wow, what an exciting story. Oh, that's amazing. And, you know, certainly there's no question. People probably don't realize about Ottawa is actually the point of care capital of the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
In our backyard, yeah. So exciting. And thank you so much, Ken. You know, this has really been a fantastic presentation, you know, bringing together a lot of the efforts on many people's part, but, you know, thanks to you in terms of bringing this together. And this is I think, a very exciting moment. And I kind of sense the transformation that's actually taking place. And so really appreciate, you know, taking time out on a very, very kind of a short notice to bring all this forward. And but this is only kind of one piece of the total efforts, as I mentioned earlier, you know, to really actually bring forward the talents here at the Heart Institute to really help to accelerate this overall exciting initiative. Yeah, so so I think, you know, folks may actually contact you not only on the you know, the presentation side, but also, you know, your personal wisdom and help. And so I'd like to on behalf of the Heart Institute and also the regional folks who joined us today, thanking Mr. Ken Lawless for this fantastic presentation. And so keep in mind that we have next week another speaker, and that's Dr. George Gupta, apologies, Dr. George Kaputa, who's actually the associate editor for Nature Metabolism. And so he will actually give us the insight in terms of the new metabolic horizons in science and how to, of course, get your paper published in Nature and Nature Metabolism. So yeah, look forward to chatting with everybody. Thanks again, Ken, and thanks for joining us.
Peter.
Wonderful day, and enjoy the the pseudo March break.
We'll try. We'll definitely try. At least the sun is shining.
Yes, absolutely. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.